Hey guys, welcome back. I have a very fun and exciting game here played by a very good friend of mine. She's just started playing chess somewhat recently, less than two months. She might have, if I were to guess, somewhere around 30, 40 games under her belt. So anybody that's played chess knows that that's not very many. I play a matter of 30, 40 games, probably a week. So yeah, so she's just starting out. And what's cool about this game is it shows that the reason that you never resign, especially when you're starting a newer player. Once you get advanced, obviously you know what a lost game is, a drawn game is, and you have enough respect for your opponent that they know what they're doing. But at the more beginner level, you don't know. Anything could happen. You don't know the skill level of the person you're playing. They're probably somewhat close to you, and they're just as likely to blunder, miss a something like a back rank mate, or you just hang pieces left and right. But this is a really cool game. Normally, I don't keep the evaluation bar on, but here you'll notice I have the evaluation bar, so you can see what the engine says about this game throughout the whole thing. I mean, it's fairly obvious when you see the moves made, even without the engine, which side is at a little bit of a disadvantage, to say the least. But then, like I said, never resign because anything can happen. And so let's just dive right in and check it out. All right. Game starts out with e4. We have e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. So a typical Italian starting out. Knight f6, d3, bishop b4 check. This you can block a lot of different ways. Everything's good here. Block with the knight. If you capture, you end up doubling up the pawn here. It's not bad. You get the bishop pair as compensation. You can play the bishop here, look to trade. If black captures, you get to retake with the knight. So you're getting to develop for free. So yeah, almost anything works here, and also obviously advancing the pawn. The only thing you probably don't really want to play here is moving your king, but that's kind of obvious. So we have c3, kicking the bishop back, bishop d6, castles, knight bd2. This move is okay. Just keep in mind it kind of traps your bishop, at least temporarily. Here we have bishop e7, b4, looking to gain space on the queen side, and then we have d5, attacking the bishop here. So obviously one of the only moves you should play here. You could play b5 here, but really you should retreat the bishop and get yourself to a better square, or even you could leave it on b3 too, because this nice diagonal might open up on the king at some point. So then we have a3. For some reason she misses the bishop hanging here. All right, and this is one of the first kind of, you could say, beginner mistakes of the game. So the bishop's hanging, and we have d takes c4, knight takes c4, at least regaining a pawn out of it. Queen d7, looking to stack on the diagonal or open up here. The problem is, typically starting out, you don't want to develop your queen first. You'd want to get your bishop out, whether you play the bishop to g4, bishop to e6, and get the queen behind it. So typically this isn't a great way to start out here. All right, we have bishop d2. The problem with bishop d2, all right, you're blocking the protection that your queen has on the d3 square. Notice the evaluation bar already has dipped in favor of black quite heavily. All right, so we have queen takes d3, grabbing the hanging pawn. Knight b2, attacking the queen. Queen takes e4, grabbing another hanging pawn. And then we have rook e1 with tempo on the queen. Queen d5, h3. H3 is a good move here. H3 blocks the influence of that bishop coming to g4, attacking the or pinning the knight, so it can't move. With a it can't move, otherwise you hang the queen. So we have bishop f5. A decent developing move for the bishop. Maybe more accurate would have been one of these squares here. I don't think the bishop is doing a whole lot on this square. Queen c1, getting out of the way, so you can develop that bishop without leaving your queen hanging. And plus, when you're down material, you don't want to trade pieces. So keep in mind, if you're a newer player, when you're down material, you don't want to trade queens off the board. You want to keep pieces on that can be more tactical, to where you can end up in a better position and make things happen. If you start trading material down, you'll just end up in a lost position, a lost end game. All right, so we have rook f to d8, bishop h6. This one, I really looked at it for a little bit. The only compensation for this move is you have a semi-open file to the king. I think this was just an outright blunder here, possibly even a finger slip, or a mouse slip, to where maybe she was looking to go to bishop g5 and just went bishop h6 instead. So I have no idea what that move was about. So we have knight e4, not capturing the bishop. And then we have c4 with a tempo on the queen, queen d6, c5, another tempo on the queen, and then finally we have the capture of the h6 bishop. Queen takes h6, now the queens are off the board. G takes h6, knight c4, b6, knight e3, bishop e6. The knight was attacking it, so you're just getting it out of the way. And we have knight c2, rook d2. This is a good plan on black's part. Usually a lot of times when you want to get your rooks infiltrating the second rank because the pawns fall. But really, right now, I mean, there's a double attack on this pawn, but I don't think black realized they left their rook hanging. So here's one of the only bigger blunders by black so far. All right, so we have knight takes d2, knight takes d2. So black lost the exchange by losing a rook for the knight. Rook a d1, attacking the knight. Bishop g5, protecting the knight, and rook e2. This is good. There's a double attack on the knight, so right now if you have captures, you end up with a bishop and knight for a rook. So that's not too bad of an exchange. Next we have rook d8. All right, now we have now things aren't going to go so hot for white. Because now there's more protection on that knight. Knight e3, blocking the influence of the bishop. This was a good move because now there's not double protection here, and if the bishop were to capture, you'd recapture with the pawn or recapture with the rook. Probably recapturing with the rook is better because you don't end up with an isolated pawn on e3. Then we have bishop b3 attacking the rook. So you've got to figure something out. So she decides rook d takes d2, rook takes d2, and rook takes d2. White starts to get a little bit back now after losing so many pieces in position. If you notice, the engine evaluation gives this a minus 3.85, so that'd be the equivalent of black being about 4 pawns up, or a piece and a pawn. So right now, white could move this rook out of the way with a tempo on the bishop, and you don't want to move this knight anywhere because then you're going to leave your rook hanging. All right, so even if this knight falls, at least you have the pawn to recapture. But we have knight d4, then knight g4. Believe it or not, this is one of the last blunders white makes of the game. Leaves the rook hanging here, and black absolutely takes it. So white loses the rook, and look at what's going on here. We have 2 bishops and a knight against the knight. The pawns, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So black is up a pawn, has the doubled pawns here, so 3 pawn islands, and white has 2 pawn islands. White has a slightly better pawn structure, but black has the extra pawn. And black also has the bishop pair on top of knight versus knight. So things are not looking for good for white. I actually remember taking a look at the game. But yeah, this was played on chess.com, so I looked on my friends, see who's playing what. I like checking out their games, see what's going on. And I remember texting her saying like, man, I mean, I don't know if you want to resign here. This is kind of a lost game. You know, this guy might feel like, you know, if you're playing on, it's, you know, maybe it's considered rude. I don't know. It's just so far gone. I don't even see stalemate possibilities. There's too many pawns on the board still. And I won't even say what happens, but yeah, let's just watch the game. All right, so knight h6 check, because checks are cool, right? This is something beginners do a lot. Notice, excuse me. Notice the knight is hanging. This bishop could just capture it right now, but a lot of times when people starting out playing chess, you know, you learn pins and forks and combinations, and you know, checking the king is a forcing move, so you want to do it. So she checks the king, and believe it or not, black here plays king g7. Doesn't realize the bishop can go backwards and capture this knight. So luckily that was missed. All right, so we have king g7, knight g4, knight e2 check. Also, so black thinking checks are cool. You know, let's just kick this king around a little bit. King h1, bishop c3, h4, bishop d4, f3. Then we have bishop e6 attacking the knight. And here I'm thinking, all right, this bishop is definitely going to capture this knight. You're going to have these doubled pawns here. White's just going to have a nasty pawn structure. You're going to have captures here, recaptures, bishop captures, and then you're left with an isolated pawn here, and then you have this nasty pawn structure over here. Like, White's just falling apart. This is no good. So White plays h5. Then we have bishop h5. I don't know what this move was about. I would have captured the knight here. h6 check. That pawn's protected by the knight. And then the king retreats for some reason. Better for black would have been to infiltrate the position. You know, bring the king deeper into the position. Help take down everything. I mean, as soon as this knight moves, that pawn's falling. But as soon as black backs up, I mean, even to come here would be better, so you can still get into the game. But here, black kind of traps their king, because now you can't re-enter with this square. The knight takes out that square. So then we have knight f6 check, right? Because checks are still cool. King h8 goes into the corner, which is weird because the pawn blocks this square, the knight blocks this square. So right now, black just pinned its king, but white doesn't have any pieces to join into the attack. So we have knight d5, e4, advancing the passed pawn, or not quite passed pawn yet. F takes e4, bishop takes e4. All right, so now the knight's being attacked, so we got to get the knight out of there. Knight takes c7, b takes c5, and we have knight b5 with tempo on the bishop, so the bishop moves out of the way, attacking the base of the pawn chain. B takes c5. White wins a passed pawn here. All right, passed pawns are very dangerous, so you know, got to keep an eye on them. But black is perfectly fine. Black has this bishop, can take out that passed pawn, or can bring this bishop here, take out this passed pawn, or bring you know, the knight here, and then there, take out the passed pawn when it moves. Even if the knight takes, then you have bishop takes, and this bishop, I mean, this pawn is going absolutely nowhere. It has too many pieces on it. So first we have bishop takes a3, grabbing the pawn and also eyeing up the passed pawn, but black blunders, not realizing the knight can capture, so we have knight takes a3, a6, looking to push their own passed pawn, knight c4, bishop d5, attacking the knight, and then we have knight e5. King g8, black finally decides to bring their king into the game. Keep in mind, in the end game, the king is an excellent piece to help out with attack, defense, keeping an eye on pawns, passed pawns, advancing your own pawns. C6. All right, here black's definitely going to capture, right? You're going to give up the bishop so you can not have that pawn continue rolling. But actually, you know what? Black doesn't even have to capture that. Black can just come here on e6 and then just take it out when it gets to the queening square. So black is perfectly fine. Notice the evaluation bar. Black is still almost 5 pawns up, or a rook's worth. So a5, c7. All right, black is still perfectly fine. You just bring the bishop here or here. You take out the queening square. You're good. White can't even begin to protect without jumping to c6 and then a7 to protect the queening square and take out the bishop when it gets there. And then black is just going to have this passed pawn roll all the way in for a queen, and it's going to be dangerous for black because once it queens, you're going to have king here and then queen come in for check, and then king has to escape. There's so many checkmate possibilities rolling in here. So it's looking like it's all over for white. Then we have knight g3 check, because once again, checks are cool, right? King h2, attacking the knight, knight f5. And look at that evaluation bar start screaming up. It's all over. This is like, I couldn't believe it when I seen this happen. You could only imagine the text messages were rolling in with expletives about, her games. I'll just leave out what was said, but she was very, very happy with the next move. We have c8 queen. Notice the queen takes out the whole back rank. This pawn covers an escape square. This knight did its job escorting the pawn. This lonely knight has taken out 2 bishops, several pawns, and the knight like neutralized everything. And it was one of those games that when you're starting out and you can pull something out of nothing, it's so exciting, so much fun, and really invigorates you to want to keep playing chess, because winning a one game, meaning like a game that you're up the whole time, you win, it's like, okay, yeah, that feels good, you made some good combinations, found some tactics, whatever. But when you have a game that's dead lost and you turn around and pull out a win, I don't know if there's much that feels better than that. So this was quite an awesome game. Very happy for Lily on this one. Looking forward to seeing her games of the future and studying, hopefully studying the end game and things like that. And as you play more and more, the blunders go away. So stay tuned. No idea what we're covering next, if we're going to have any matches, tournaments or something like that, but I'll keep you informed. So we'll see. All right, see you guys.